Hey there, awesome folks. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally, guys. I know I am a career coach, but it's this issue. I was not planning on coming live today at all. My other live is planned for tomorrow, talking about professional etiquette. But tonight, or today, I ran across this article that literally broke my heart because these children or these kids are already in a bad situation as it is. And then now, because somebody wanted to hide, because somebody did not want to do their job, because somebody wanted to cover up a crime, now these children have to suffer a little bit more. I did post it in my community tab, but we are going to jump right into this because this, in a lot of ways, is what's wrong with a lot of our systemized help. A lot of our systemized help is really victimizing victims even more than they need to be. The link for this article is in the show notes of tonight's live. The title says Clayton school employee arrested in alleged cover-up of sexual misconduct at a shelter for abused kids. Number one, this story was aired on WSBPTV news staff an hour ago, which is today, the 24th of March. Clayton County Police said an employee of the county school district school district has been arrested for her part in a cover-up of a sexual misconduct at a shelter for troubled teens. It's the picture of the employee. Police said that the 35-year-old Felicia Campbell was a manager at the Rainbow House in Jonesboro. The shelter bills itself as a nonprofit emergency shelter and advocacy center. So clearly, the young people that are there are already in a bad situation as it is. Earlier, Channel 2 investigates Jonesboro, Georgia. Let me just specify that. Earlier this week, Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Wynn reported that the shelter's director, her son, and another employee were arrested on child molestation charges after the police said the 25-year-old Caleb Randolph had engaged in inappropriate sexual contact with a 15-year-old girl at the facility. Lord have mercy. His mother, Mia Kimber, another employee, Monica Jones, were arrested because the police said that they had direct knowledge of the situation and failed to take corrective action. I have questions. I have a lot of questions, and I'm also grieving a little part in my soul because this 15-year-old is already going through enough, and this gross misconduct is making things worse. His mother, Mia Kimber, and another employee, Monica Jones, were arrested because the police said they had direct knowledge of the situation and failed to take corrective action. Channel 2's Audrey Watts Washington was in Clayton County Friday, where police said that they conducted numerous interviews with other employees. Police said that during the Campbell's interview, she said she didn't have knowledge of sexual conduct. Investigators searched her office and found files containing incident reports made by staff members and juveniles that had her signature on them. Oh, documentation beats conversation every time. It's an HR note, guys. We're going to come back to that. Campbell was arrested on Friday and charged with mandated failure to report. Yes, because if something like that happens with a minor, that is part of your job to report it to the authorities. Campbell was arrested at Lovejoy High School. Police did not say how she is employed at the school. Investigators told Washington that the unraveling of the case was like a Netflix series. Oh, jeez. This was one of the worst cases I've ever seen, St. Michelle Alston with Clayton County Police Department said. It was like watching a Netflix series unroll before our eyes. Alston said that 2 more victims have been identified and more potential victims are coming forward. Lord have mercy. More children. Whew. Campbell's attorney said police acted too hastily in arresting her. It's a remorseful day when law enforcement does not have the time to meet with citizens, the lawyer said. Alston said police gave Campbell ample time to come in and speak with detectives. All the minors involved are now safe and out of the Rainbow House. All 4 suspects have been fired. And I am going to say rightfully so. Number 1, you are there to do a job. You are there to protect the children. You are also there to make sure they are not going to come into harm's way. They're already going through enough. That's the reason they're at the Rainbow House in the first place, folks. There's some jobs that require way more diligence than others. There's some of us, like us in the HR sector, that if we don't do our jobs, people don't get benefits. If we don't do our jobs, people don't get properly paid, because we do payroll too. If we don't do our jobs, then there are people that are going to not get their workers' comp. That's not going to get the information they need to be able to take time off to handle personal, financial, and medical situations. You have to understand the weight and responsibility of your job. That's why you are hired to do it, not just to collect a paycheck, but actually do your job. And it had to take law enforcement for all of this to be exposed. I am disappointed. Heart is broken, because the reason those teenagers are actually at the Rainbow House in the first place is because they're already going through trauma. They're placed there because they're already dealing with some kind of dysfunction at home, which is why they were taken out of their home to be placed there, or they no longer have a home, so they're placed there. It is important for the people that are in caregiving positions to take that seriously. This is not just a job you collect a paycheck on. You got to actually care for the children to be efficient at your job. So I talk about this, yes, because as far as getting the job done, part of one of the requirements that whenever you get an incident report, you have to investigate, number 1. Number 2, part of in the investigation is you have to report these things. Hello there, Still Rocks. How you doing today? Appreciate you joining the live with us today, because boy, this weighs heavy on my heart for multiple reasons. These minors are going through so much already. Please do your job and don't add to the foolishness, guys. And of course, this is not something that's a joy to talk about, but I'm talking about it to make you guys aware. Of course, you can comment, add to the stream if you have questions. If you have anything like this going on in your job and looking for guidance on how to handle it, number 1, make sure you're following the tenets of what your job description says, because you're responsible for, in this particular case, let me go back to, let me see here. Let me go back to this young lady here. Yes, there may be some hastiness going on here, but you have to realize these are kids. This is not just, I feel like being a jerk today and I'm just not going to do my job. You can't do that when you're in this type of a position. Kids' lives are at stake here, people. The very, very lives are at stake. Suppose that sexual misconduct turned deadly. It is sad, Still Rocks. It really is. And everybody's looking for somebody to blame, but it's not about somebody to blame. It's about if they was handling your responsibility, this wouldn't have happened. Had you reported it, then the proper culprits would have been reported. They would have been removed from the establishment. So these kids they're not already enduring more of the same madness that they were enduring when they were at home. It's ludicrous to me. It's disgusting to me. They don't deserve this at all. What do I think with of the about the young people working with high school kids? They have to have a love for kids to really be efficient in their role, because clearly somebody thought it was easier to cover up than to do their actual job, which is why this mess is happening. People in their early 20s, around 17-year-olds, the age, it has less to do with age and it has way more to do with maturity. It has way more so rocks to do with maturity and where your head is at, where your mindset is, I should say. It has more to do with, do you really know the tenets of your job? Can you do your job well? Do you have enough experience to handle difficult situations in your job? It has more to do with that than anything else, though, Rocks. Whew, these kids are already going through so much as it is. And the last thing you want to do, because they didn't ask to be here, they didn't ask to be in the situation. They're displaced. That's why they're placed in the Rainbow House in the first place. Only for this kind of madness to happen. Why are you guys not doing your jobs? The kids are already going through hell. Don't put them through no more hell. Guys, if anything like this is happening, please report it to the authorities. I don't care who begs you, no, please don't do this to my son. Please don't do this to my daughter. Please don't this. No, it has to be reported so the proper authorities can handle the situation, because that's what they're trained to do. Do not put these children in more wahala than they're already in. And I wanted to touch on this because, guys, this is not something we should ever take lightly. These kids are dealing with a lot in their young lives. I want to be, you can definitely comment and, add your 2 cents to the chat and let us know how you feel about it. Cause it's heartbreaking to hear this kind of stuff. It is heartbreaking to hear this stuff. But I have 3 questions I want to pose. Number 1, who is in charge of these caregivers? Who's in charge of them? What is their oversight? What is the oversight for these caregivers? These caregivers. Why was it that it took law enforcement? What's the oversight for these caregivers? Why did it take law enforcement to find? They're saying, oh, we didn't know anything about it, but your name is signed on documents. As I always say, in HR, if it's not documented, it didn't happen, but the documentation showed no. So who are you really covering for? Are you there for the kids, or are you there to cover up for the criminals? You're not doing your job. Who's the human resources that is in charge of these folks? Is everybody not checking paperwork on a regular basis to see what's going on with these kids? I may have a completely different outlook on this because I'm not in that specific industry. But if you were doing your job, this would not have happened, because had you reported it and followed the tenets of what your job description states, this would not have occurred. Number 2, when you are documenting these sexual assault or sexual harassment or sexual misconduct with 15-year-olds, what is it that prevented you from reporting it to the authorities? You think it's okay to allow kids to go through hell as if they're not already going through hell being at the Rainbow House? It's okay for them to go through additional abuse? Nay, I say. Absolutely not. What is the Who's ultimately responsible here? It's not the kids. Who's ultimately responsible and accountable for this? It shouldn't always have to be law enforcement. Who is responsible for this? My other question is, what is going to be done going forward? What are the next steps? Because this type of stuff can't continue. The Rainbow House now has a disdain because this has been allowed to happen because number one, you have people there that don't want to do their job. Number two, they're trying to cover up for people that are committing these crimes. And number three, it took law enforcement to look into it and see that documentation is there before arrests were made. Before accountability wasn't taken, accountability was adjudicated by them getting arrested. Still Rock, she said, man, it's crazy. I'm reading the article now to catch up. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I wasn't planning on coming on here today, but y'all, I would love to volunteer at places like this to be able to bring some form of light to a situation. They're already traumatized. Exactly. They're preying on children that are already traumatized and troubled. Thank you. And then you wonder what happens. Oh, they turn into criminals too because their interaction with the home that they're supposed to be in is not fitting. They're probably already going through something similar at home or some form of abuse at home, which is why they're placed in a Rainbow House only to re-traumatize them some more and then try to cover it up. Now, my question is to the Rainbow House and other organizations like this, what changes are going to be made on a leadership level to prevent this type of gross misconduct in the future? I know I sound like an HR person because I am, because this you can't subject children that are already traumatized to this kind of wahala. It should not have taken an arrest for this to happen. We pray for those children. We pray that they don't have to go through any more. They don't been through enough already. And you add insult to injury. But guys, I bring this to your attention because there are some jobs like the police officers that are involved in this. They have to try to put a stop to it, but they're responsible for people's lives as well. There's a certain level of accountability that comes with that, but so are these caregivers in these facilities. I think they forgot that for a moment and they cared more about who they're covering for. Yeah, they fired the whole staff. They fired I think all four who were implicated. They fired them all. Jay don't need to be working with children if you're trying to cover up for the criminal. It's time for you to go. This is clearly not a good fit for you. You need to be doing something else because basically you're covering up for criminals. You don't need to be around children trying to show that you care for them, but you care more for the criminal. This is not the job for you. Not a good fit at all. So guys, let me know what you think of this. I know I'm usually here, giving giving more happy-go-lucky, more positive type of vibes, but this is also as real as it gets. Sometimes not doing your job can cost kids their innocence. It's that serious for these caregivers. I think they lost sight of their job, and this is why they're no longer employed there. And they were arrested because they didn't want to report it. They were trying to cover it up. They were trying to hide. There's no There's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. So what? The child's supposed to get re-traumatized even more? I don't think so. All because you don't want to be accountable for your stuff. Trying to hide something is evading the accountability. Absolutely. So, guys, I do not want to keep you guys any longer, but I want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on. There's some jobs where paperwork may cost you money, but in this particular case, not doing their job cost these children even more of their innocence than they've already lost. It's important to, if you are going to take a job, please take it seriously, especially when you're in a caregiving role. Do the job that you're hired to do, not what you felt like doing, not how you feel the need to, oh, I'm going to do it halfway today, because doing it halfway is going to cost somebody else. Kids' innocence, their perspective on life, the way they deal with people, the level of trauma they're already experiencing, and the lack of you doing your job is now expose them to even more trauma. So it's important, guys. If you are going to take on a job as a caregiver, whether it's for old people, whether it's for children, or somebody that's in a capacity that's sick, have the heart and mindset and not gumption, but the actual caring demeanor, energy, and personality to actually do the job well. All right, guys, of course, if you wanted to drop any other articles of a similar nature, or if there's another article that you want me to discuss, you can go to mentorshelley.com/contact. You can leave me a voicemail or an email message, and I'm more than happy to return that voicemail or email within 24 hours if you guys have suggestions. You can like, comment, share this with somebody for those that are familiar with the Jonesboro, Georgia area, knowing, so they can know what's going on in the area for this particular article. And of course, guys, if you are looking for help with any of your career situations, whether you're in a career like this or not, or you're experiencing anything like this, or you're in a situation where you have other coworkers that have not reported, you take it upon yourself to report a situation like this. You do not want to lose your job over not doing it and doing further damage to people that already are damaged. Of course, if you're looking for help or any kind of consultation, whether it be for your resume, for your career strategy, for interview, and for salary negotiation, you can go to mentorshelley.com/consultations. I'm more than happy to help you with any of those things. And of course, you can also check out the blog at mentorshelley.com. Guys, I want you all to be aware that your job is important. You got hired to do a job. Please do the job and do it to the best of your ability, because it may cost somebody else that's innocent. It may have cost somebody their peace of mind. So please do your job, especially if you're in a role of caring. All right, guys, take care. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself, not only professionally, but personally, because this hit home for me, because kids are involved. All right, guys, take care. You have a good one. Bye.